Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us in our first remote room of the year. We hope everyone had a great start of the year and enjoyed the holidays with your loved ones. And we're very excited about our event today since we think it's a great way to jumpstart the year. So, today we will be speaking about how technology can support your professional growth and stay competitive in today's saturated market, some important skills to keep in mind, and also how is the education sector responding to a new kind of economy and work. So remember, YouTube watchers, you have to be a subscriber to ask any doubts in the comment section. And we invite everyone on LinkedIn to also comment any doubts you may have, and we will be more than happy to answer them throughout the whole event. But first of all, we want to get to know our viewers better. So comment below where you're watching from. And so to start, I want to welcome Stephanie, Head of Community at TECLA, Daniela, Employability Regional Director at Laboratoria, and Emily, Talent Acquisition Specialist at TECLA. So thank you for joining us today. How are you? And we're very excited to have you all here today. And I want to get to know every one of you a little bit more. So if you want to start, Emily, we would like to introduce yourself, tell us about your experience, your role at TECLA. The floor is yours.
Well, hello everyone. Happy New Year. This is very
Happy New
exciting to
Year.
be back. Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. So I'm Emily. I'm talent acquisition specialist here at TECLA, also recruiting manager currently. And well, basically what we do here at TECLA is we have our network of talent in Latin America, who is our community, and we help you guys find opportunities in companies in the US and in Canada. And my role specifically here is to kind of not only guide you guys through that interview process and the whole hiring process, but also give you tips to improve your performance there, and then also give feedback to clients about how our talent is performing, what they're looking for, their expectations. So I'm kind of the middleman between our talent and clients.
Thank you so much, Ems.
Thank you
So
very
we
much.
are,
And
we have, yeah, do go.
There's a little delay, I think.
Yay.
a little bit. Well, no, thank you, Emily, for being here and for telling us. What about you, Daniela? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience. I always like to work at Laboratoria, which not only it empowers women to have a more transformative career in technology, it is also transforming the technology market in Latin America. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, happy New Year to all, and thank you for having me here. I love to work in Laboratoria. We what we do with what you said, right? We work for a more inclusive, competitive economy, digital economy, based on opening opportunities for women in tech. We give them in a boot camp. They learn for 6 months web dev or UX, and then we help them to get their first job in the digital economy, right? In different countries all around Latam. So that's what we do. I'm the regional director of employability. So I'm focused in the part after bootcamp where we help them to get their job. And I love to work in Laboratoria.
That's awesome. I think, Euge, are you having a little bit of delay?
A little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
listening to everything.
No, that's all right. I think it's all good now. Okay, that happens in live events. That's all right. Thank you so much, Emily and Danny, for being here. And yeah, well, I'm Stephanie. I'm in all remote rooms events, so I'm assuming most of you already know me. I'm head of community here at TECLA, and we promote this type of events to actually talk about topics in technology in Latin America for Latin Americans who are desiring to work in technology, especially in international companies, but also in the local environment as well, as Laboratoria was one of our partners a few months ago last year. And in that moment where the relationship between TECLA and Laboratoria started, right? So yeah, really happy to be here with all of you. And thank you so much, Euge, for that amazing introduction. We want to keep it casual, so please, everyone, jam their questions in the box section. I know we're a few viewers from Peru and Matamoros. Fabricio is a really regular viewer, so thank you so much, guys, for making.
So nice.
Yes, Euge, what's
Yes.
next?
So, well, we wanted to know, like, you've been talking about Laboratoria and how it's like to work there, and we wanted to ask you, like, what are the biggest challenges that you faced at your current position, and what have you learned throughout these years in Laboratoria that you want to tell us about?
Well, what we have learned is that it's really important for the digital economy to be inclusive, right? Uh, Mostly in Latam, actually, because in the industry, we have less than 20% of women in the industry. And it's because there's not equal opportunities for women, even since education, right? And we also have um, these roles that we think that women have to have, right? Or what they're good for or what
Okay,
they're not. And we have to fight against that, right? Since even
Yeah.
the
since we're
stereotype.
small, the stereotypes, right? And we also have to have like women that are in technology positions for us to understand that we can be part of that also, right? So it's not only having the education, right, being able to enter into the industry, which is a challenge, but it's also growing your technology career in Latam, so you can be a reference for the rest of the women, right? And understand that we can be there and we need to be there, even for the products to be more competitive, right? So it's not only the moment of education and having the first job, but also growing in the industry and being able to tell other women that we could be part of it and that we are capable of being part of it.
So, and it's your first time in technology, working a technology position, or did you have experience?
No, I have been working in technology. The other day I was thinking that like I think maybe like 11 years now in different roles. I've
Ah,
been in product management and in corporate sectors and in startups. And I've also lead technology teams,
Okay,
um, which, yeah, so it's a sector that I know a little bit.
and in your journey, those 11 years, have you seen like that those bias between developers, like men and women, and juniors and seniors? Because it's not only towards women. I know it's more, and we of all face on troubles in our careers, but those bias that kind of like maybe people don't want to start a career in tech, right? So those fears, what are your thoughts about it, your insights in those 11 years?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bias on technology. I've had a lot of biases in technology, right? You work through them while you're working on things with
Yeah.
technology. And one of the biggest ones I've seen is to be scared of technology. Like, oh, this is not for me. I can't learn that skill. It's too difficult. Like being in this fixed mindset, right? Of what we can do and what we can't. And technology has that even a little more. And sometimes when people are in the industry, they also have that mindset. Like you can't learn technology; it's too complicated, right? Like you don't have that mindset. And I think that's the first thing that we have to break. Like we can all learn everything, and it's actually like technology is changing a lot, and you need different skills to get in technology. It's not only one. So that's like the first bias that I've seen, and that happens with juniors and seniors, but also people because I don't code. I don't have that background. So for me to enter in the technology industry, there is that bias, right? That you have on yourself and from other people. And when you enter, you see that you just have to keep learning, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And what are the changes that you've seen in technology throughout these 11 years? Like from where you started to now, like what would be, I don't know if there is one, but like some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the market.
Well, there has been a lot of changes. I think the technologies that we used before are quite different from the ones that we use now, right? And there's actually one big change for the people that are like coding in the technology sector, that it's before you had to do almost everything from scratch, and you had to have like a knowledge of all the technology, right? Now you've seen so many libraries and softwares that do actually like low code and help you like to do MVPs faster. Actually, there are content management systems that can you do all your backend if you don't have a complicated system, that right. So there's a change, and that it like you can do technology completely different. What you could do before in 2 weeks, now you can even do in 2 days, right? So it's changing.
What do you think, Ems, about that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like we all feel that technology is moving faster, right? And it's ever changing industry, which is true, but it's also not only changing so that everything is unknown, but to also provide new tools to everyone, the ones that are coding and the ones that are using the technology. So it is definitely changing a lot, which requires for us to adapt as well. So yeah, it is a challenging industry, just like any other, I believe, but it is a very exciting one as well because it's so changing. So yeah.
Totally. If it could be defined in one word, I think it would be adaptability and like adapting to the constant changes. And Daniela, like when you started leading technology groups, what are the most important skills that you've seen that was really important to have, like it for your members?
I think depends on the role you have on the technology team, of course. Speaking about like hard skills, right? Like hard tech skills. It depends. Everyone has a role, even if they're collaborating. I do think that it's better if someone is focused a little bit more in the back end or in the front end or the UX. The UX is so important. Sometimes we think that people are going to use it just because we build it, and that's not true because the experience is not right. But the skills that we need is actually what you said, Eugenia, like learn adaptability, being able to learn new things, to collaborate with people, to understand what the problem is. The problem solving is really important because we can do like really complicated things for a small problem and not in a fast pace. And then the technology doesn't have product market fit, like it's not in the time that it has to be. And that's really important in technology. So it's actually like having agile values, but not only values, but working like that with your team and being able to learn always something new. I think it's really important.
Yeah, always learning. What
Yeah,
about you, Ems, in your
totally. That
recruiting side of
Yeah,
things? What do you think?
yeah, definitely from the recruiting side of things. Obviously from the hard skill side, we do value that people are very up to date with the technologies, obviously. But just like one of the previous lives that we had with one of our guests, I think he was partners with Betsy. He always mentioned, right, that it doesn't matter what's like the trending technology right now. It's very important that people that are in the industry
Oh,
understand how computers work. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. You can
Mhm.
check that video on YouTube.
Yeah. And he like really like gives a huge emphasis on this, right? You should understand how software works, how computers work, and then kind of choose your path, which technology you want to go on, and not be like, oh, right now I don't know, Ruby is super trendy, so I'm just gonna learn Ruby. So you should be capable of having a global understanding of what's happening, and that also gets very tied in with the soft skills that you need to be able to perform and be very flexible with the changing environment of technology. So as Danny was saying, like you need to be able to be a problem solver. You need to have critical thinking. You need to be able to see a situation, a change, and be able to successfully overcome it with the tools that you have, or by learning new ones, right? So that is also a very valuable aspect when you're looking for a new job. And I think that's why it's so important to have interviews and like have that first step of meeting someone from the team, so they can actually see how eager you are to learn, how open-minded you are to change, and just really show how excited you are to keep learning and keep up to like with the same pace of the technology of that company or of the industry itself, right?
Totally. And on the subject of skills, one of the subjects we wanted to talk about today is employability skills, which are the skills that can be defined as the transferable skills that needed by an individual to make them employable. But to better understand it, we wanted to take your professional advice from both of you and ask, what is employability? How would you define it, and why is it important?
Love that question. Who wants to go first? Don't fight.
If you want, I'll go. I think employability is being able to be employable, right, in the market. Is having those skills that are actually that the companies want right now, right, and that you can actually put on practice right away when you get your role. So that's why there are not one only employability skills. It depends on your career path, on the organization that you want to enter. It also has, you have to have like some skills to go through the process, right? It's not only the ones that you get in the role, but in the process you need to have skills to have interviews, to show your knowledge in practical exercises that you're going to have, in being patient also in all the process, and understand also what questions you have to do to see if that's the organization that you want to go in, because it's really important that you have also a cultural fit with the organization and with what you're doing, right? If you like the product, and afterwards having those skills to perform well in your job, right? And understand what are the basic things that are needed in that role, at least in the first 6 months, right? Everything changes. So it's just, you have to keep learning and understand what do you have to learn in that environment to keep being employable inside the company, actually, because there's also internal movements, right? So it's always about the career path, how that matches with the skills that you have, that you want to develop, and having the eye to understand that so you can keep developing the skills that you want and that are needed in the market.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that part too, that being keep employable yourself at the company, because I think that's a key thing to have for a career path, like in a long term. And most of the time we focus like in the short term goal, right? Well, get that job, get that course, get that certification, and we actually need to focus on those, but also see the bigger picture, right? What do you want to say, Emily, about it?
Yeah, sure. No, I think Danny gave a really great definition of what employability is. Like, it's what makes you attractive to be hired, but also what makes you attractive to be kept in the team, right? And just as you were saying, stuff like, it's not only developing the skills to be able to get the job, but to also be successful in the job on your own terms, right? What makes you, if this is a position that you want and you want to, for example, you land a front end position, but you have the curiosity of working on the back end, and you will eventually want to transition to a full stack position, you do need the skills, not only the hard skills, but also the soft skills to be able to adapt, learn, keep learning, because it is a constant learning, right? You are constantly upskilling yourself and not just focusing on one skill specifically, because I believe like for a very long time, like if you were the front end, you will stay on the front end, you would just keep going on that one and just stay there. But now you really have to have like so many cards under your sleeve to be able to keep being competitive in a very very competitive market as well, not only in
Especially now,
Latin
right?
America, but like, yeah, since everything's remote, really possibilities and opportunities are endless. Like, you're honestly in a global market now, so you do need to keep yourself very up to date and like on top of things. But that being said, it shouldn't, like, employability does not mean like you're getting all these stamps on your report card and you're like, oh yeah, I have like a bunch of badges, I'm the best. You can have all those badges and that's great, but you do also need to have like the communication skills to let the interviewer know, let the team know that you have them, right? You also need to be able to show and be empathetic to other team members that might not have those badges, but they also need it. So you should be able to teach and keep learning as well. So it's a very broad term, and it's a very interesting one because, like, for example, here in Peru, I'm from Peru, by the way, but at university, right, we have like a couple courses on employability, but they just teach us how to write a resume, and that's pretty much it. And that's not everything that's under being employable and attractive, right? So
yeah,
it is.
What about networking? What about all
Exactly.
those topics?
Your digital presence, your personal brand, how you like interact with other people in the team, right? It's a very broad term, and it's very cool that we have this space to really broaden everyone's idea of what being employable is.
And I love what you say, because we need to understand also that diversity and inclusion is important in the team. So we don't have the same skills, and that's okay. Like, we need to understand what is our skill set, what do we want to develop in our skills, and understand that we work on a team and that we're going to complement each other to go to that goal, right? It's not like you need to do the check for every skill.
Yeah.
Complement each other, right?
Exactly.
We have a comment here from Jeremy from LinkedIn. So I think it's a really good one. You're right, Emily. Tell me about the empathy and emotional intelligence of being able to be yourself in the work team in the tech industry when you find yourself under pressure and with a high demand in remote work. So yeah, that's also true. Like I think this year, or like last year after COVID, after the pandemic, everything about having like a work-life balance was like really trending, really there all the
Yeah.
time, and LinkedIn posts and everything. And of course, that companies has a huge have a huge responsibility, but ourselves. Employees, we also have a responsibility with ourselves, right? Especially in this remote work environment. So you have to be able to also get your priorities. So if you have family, or if you have, even if you don't have kids, if you have dogs that they are depending
Yeah.
on you, so they have to get fed, or even yourself, you have to get up and be able to, I don't know, get sunlight and all of that. That it seems that in the it's our little things, but in the long term, those things make you also employable, because you are more centered in more concentrated in your work, right? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that's a huge topic, and it's really important because um, we are going to have more and more uncertainty. It's not going to be otherwise, and we need to navigate through uncertainty with tools that can help us to be balanced and feeling well, no? And in our life, in our jobs. So those are skills that are going to become really important in these years and in the future. Uh, some of them are called emotional intelligence, but it's even bigger than that. Right now, you have tools like mindfulness, or how to collaborate even with teams to make it more human, because we are humans collaborating in an organization to do something. So we bring everything that we are to what we create together, right? And we have to understand that in uncertainty, we're going to have ups, downs, feelings. We're going to have days that we can't collaborate that much, other ones that we are on the top. And that's how we work as a team to understand each other and be like the best version of ourselves with our family. In the pandemic, it was amazing, right? Because it's remote work, and some people had their kids running around, right? Like, I have to stop, sorry. That we didn't have before. So now we
Yeah.
have our lives inside
Everything
our
are
work.
human.
It's more human. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also like a big stereotype of people in tech is that they are one with their computers. They're like hermits. They just want to be coding all day and don't talk to people, which can be very isolating, especially in a remote setting, right? But at the end of the day, there's people behind each screen. Like right now, there's 4 people talking, although you see the 4 of us in a screen, right? But we are humans. People who code are humans. We need interaction, and we need to understand that each has their own worlds outside of the work as well. And even within our jobs, we have our own worries, our own to-do lists, things that stresses us out. So being aware and being constantly aware that there can be changes, that there are people with stress or without stress is very important, because at the end of the day, you're working with other people, and being able to understand their situation and also understand at what situation you are currently in that might be different from the other is very, very important.
Yes, totally. Totally. We have more questions, I think, Euge, from YouTube.
We have from a YouTube user. He asked, "What do you think about tech tests to hire people? I had one not so good, but I found a better company 1 week later without having been tested. More money, same job. Which is your thought?"
I think
Well,
this is a
congratulations first.
yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. But I think this topic is a huge debate, right? We see it with some clients that want to do coding tests. Emily knows this perfect. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Danny? What process have you seen more? Coding tests, live coding, interviews, and what are the ones that actually are? Because we do have an opinion inside TECLA, but what are your opinions?
Well, outside there, it depends on the organization. We've seen a lot of things. Like there are some that don't have the practical challenge. There are some that have practical challenges that they give you before, and they give you like a couple of days to do it. There are these interviews where you code, right, right in front of the other people. So I think it depends on the organization, really. And I think we are all learning on what is the best approach to understand the talent that we're hiring. I don't know if there's a certain answer on what's best. I do know that we should behave like a product. Like the organizations should understand that their hiring process is a product, and they need feedback to understand if they are getting the right talent, and understanding what tools are helping them do that, right? So it depends, actually. But I do think that you need something practical to understand your candidates, not only in tech, actually, in all the processes. It's the best way to know, right, that what will they will actually do, how they would behave in problem solving, and understand a little bit more even about the company. We actually in Laboratoria do that, like having practical challenges with situations of the company, right? And understand how you would behave, or how you would solve that problem. So I do think practical challenges are important, but I think that we have to learn how to do it better, not only for the organization, but also for the person that's doing it, that it can be motivating to do it, right? And not just like a test on live where you can be nervous and just make a mistake, but that doesn't say anything about your talent, right? So how do we do it right? It's a big question, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What about you, Emily? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course. I do see both sides, obviously, because I see that's like the job to see both sides. So on the client side, it's obviously a way of them to kind of like sample and see what's your potential and all of that. But I think from the candidate side of things, you really shouldn't feel like this like either a live coding test or a take-home test. You shouldn't feel like it's them really like get into the detail of your code and stuff like that. It's more of a chance for you. Think of it like when you were at elementary school and you were learning all this math, and you're like, I'm never going to use this in real life. Like, why am I learning all of this? But it is for you to develop the ability to problem solve, and to kind of explain why you did what you did, right?
Exactly.
So this live, I personally, I know like live coding challenges can be so nerve-wracking, but I actually feel that those are better than take-home challenges, because on the live session you can actually be explaining like, oh, I'm like doing this because I believe that we should be doing that, and you can explain yourself. You can really show what's your process, and the client can really get a little bit of a peek of what's happening in your mind when you're coding, right? Instead of a take-home test that you can, I don't know, like it is obviously more calm, less nerve-wracking, but then you do not have that component of explaining yourself, of what you're doing at that moment, right? So yeah, I feel like I don't know, it is hard. Honestly, I would prefer not to do them as well. But
Yeah, from that side, yeah.
yeah, but obviously it is needed sometimes for companies to really understand what's the talent and how capable they are, and to honestly also see the potential in them. Maybe you don't know how to solve this, but you were during the process kind of explaining your thought process. You were trying to look for solutions, and that could be even more important than getting the correct answer per se. So yeah.
Yeah, and
Don't
what
be
Danny
too scared of it.
no, and what I think I'm in the same page with both of you, but what Danny was saying about the question is not if do it or not, but like how to do it. I
Yeah.
think that's the question, because in every type of job you are gonna have certain types of tests. Like it might not be a coding live test in other industries, but you always have to do something about your with your abilities, your with your technical abilities, right? But the way to do it and respect the time and the effort of the candidates, but also get the point of view with the companies, I think in the middle it's perfect. I hope we answer your question, Fabricio, and congrats of landing that new position.
And
Okay,
on
yeah.
yes,
Do we have
on
more?
on that line, on also how to improve your chances of getting hired, Miguel asked, inside a company, what are your thoughts on having more knowledge of tech versus having more weight on power and politics in the company? For example, people that easily grow a tribe and make friends with the powerful people versus the one that truly produce and deliver. It got there. The
It got cut.
question.
Yeah, I see what Miguel is coming from. I totally can see his point of view. I do have some, I think, opinions about it, but I want to hear you guys first. What do you guys think? Ems, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I had to reread the question because I don't know if I'm understanding it correctly. So,
Okay, maybe I can explain it. Maybe I
yeah.
can. Yeah, I can explain. Yeah, so Miguel is asking, so what are your thoughts on having more like tech savvy knowledge, like more technical knowledge, versus
Mhm.
someone that is really likable, like in the and
Oh, I
knows
see.
all the politics and the weight of power and politics in the company. He's referring being likable as that. So he's kind of like putting in two separate groups, like a versus, right? So that's why I have
Mhm.
some opinions about it. But what do you guys think? Because it's I know where he's coming from, so I totally get his point.
Yeah, no, that is a very hot topic, I would say. Because not everything is black and white, right? Like there's no one that is like 100% technical and one that is 100% soft skills. And no, like there's no way someone will go further if you just have one or the other. Like I personally believe that's not possible, because then say the likable person does get a, I don't know, a more powerful position, but then
Promotion.
he wants a promotion or something, right? But they don't have the hard skills to support that position, so then that person is really doing nothing there. And vice versa, say you have someone that has all of the hard skills, but then he's not able to communicate with his team, he's not able to give proper feedback, then the same thing happens, right? It doesn't really go any further than that. So I hate to be the one that is always like, oh, it's like a gray area, it's like both. But in this case, I really do believe that you need to have both. Yeah.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I'm trying to reflect actually on leadership because leadership has evolved on time, and now leadership doesn't mean for you to have a team with you, right? You always have to have
Mhm.
leadership skills so you can get your job done, your product developed, or your feature developed. You have to work on a team and work through interest between the team, the company, the organization, your area. So there's this article I like that is called Nimble Leadership, that describes the types of leadership that you have inside the organization. And there are some leadership that actually do need these types of skills, that need to understand how the whole organization works and how you have to have politics to have influence for the goal of the whole organization in different parts of the organization. But there are some roles of leadership that are not, that are more entrepreneurial, right? Where you create more products and you don't need those politics. So what I think is that you actually need to understand what's your role, where you want to grow, what's your type of leadership, and then understand what the skills that you need to develop are, and the ones that you like. Because if you don't like to develop a lot of politics skills, then maybe that's not your type of leadership, and not it's not your career path. And maybe you do want to have a lot of hard skills and be like in the architecture side of the of the platform, of the technology of your organization. So it's not having everything, but it's learning to choose depending on what you want to develop in the organization. And it's also always being able to be open to get new skills. I remember the first time I heard these politics skills, I was like, I don't know if I,
Yeah.
Politics, not for me.
not for me, no thank you. And then you start navigating through them and you understand that they're not so bad, and sometimes they are necessary to have like the biggest goal of the organization. So just keep your mind open.
No, and I love both answers. And I think at the end, he kind of like says versus the ones that truly produce and deliver. But I think both can produce and deliver in their like both types of leaderships in their own way, right? And what you were saying, like find the skills that you want to grow with. I think technology is one of the best examples that you don't need all those political skills to actually keep growing and keep having like leadership position. If you want to still being like all coding, all hands of code, all hands of the product, you might need some other type of leaderships if you want to start leading a team or like being a mentor or a lot of different ways to actually keep your career, right? But yeah, I do think in the more traditional environment, or maybe in the last decade, you could see that in the in traditional organizations, that the person that are working really hard are not getting promoted. So Emily was mentioning it a few minutes ago. So right now you're in a global market, so it's so much better because you're not gonna be worried about that, about like um, we all know like in the whole Latin America, sometimes there was jobs that you only can get in if you knew somebody in there, or if you came from certain types of universities, of schools. So in the remote work environment and in the technology industry, that doesn't really matter. Like your skills and what you deliver is what matters. So I just want to mention that for Miguel, and I'm really thankful for your question, because it's not an easy topic, but we love to discuss those kind of ones. I think we do
Yes.
have more.
Yes, Bill here is asking what do you recommend for a software engineer less than 1 year of experience? Like, should we target big or small size startup companies? And actually, Fabrizio answered, so thank you. uh, his take was that try to enter in any company you can to make experience and practice. Small or big, it's the same. Assure yourself to learn inside the organization to create your career. So, what are your thoughts on that? And Daniela?
I believe that's true. You have to have your first step. You have to go and in an organization understand what's coding with other people. Also, you have your PR reviews, you learn from the code of other people. How is your code affecting the system of the organization, which each system is different, even if it has the same frameworks or technologies. So you have to go and do it, and do think about like the organization that you would like. But for this time of your career, it's better to open your chances and apply to many companies, of course, that you like, but it can be startups, it can be big companies. It also depends on what type of experience do you want to you want to get, right? If you want to be on big teams where you can learn from different specialties of like front and back end UX, right? Maybe it's better like a big company, right, where you have different squads and you're going to learn from a lot of different people. If you want to be creating the things with a small team and learning new skills and creating new things every time, it's like an agile environment, even more agile, because you have to keep up with the market, and it's
Every
like
time.
the smaller product, then maybe a startup. So depends on the experience that you want to have, but just start on one, and then you'll see and understand what you like more.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like the fact that they're like you just have 1 year of experience, you obviously haven't tasted everything, right? So if you do, for example, you have 1 year of experience, again, front end, but you are curious about other things, then I would definitely recommend try a startup where you can see very close to your own squad what's happening on the other sides of the product development, right? So you're able to kind of see closer what's happening around you. If you do feel like, you know what, I have 1 year of experience in front end, I love front end, I want to keep like growing there, then I would definitely recommend go for a bigger, where the amount of like what their product is doing is maybe a little bit more established, then you'll be more able to refine those skills that you need to be a better front-end developer. So it really depends on what you're looking for. And the fact that you are 1 year, like you have a year of experience, it should just like, I don't know, like give you a little push to try and just be and like jump in the pool and just swim there, explore everything that's available for you. And depending on that, just choose the path that you want to go. And even if you do choose one and you're like, oh, you know what? Startups are too messy. They are like so hectic. I want to go to a big company, then that's also valid. And you will be able to do that. So yeah, don't feel like you need to choose one and stay in one.
Yeah, I think that the last bit, if you had a bad experience or something like that, it's not gonna be the same in every like every startup, every company, every team. Maybe inside a big company, it's different. So your whole experience can be different. Okay, do we have more questions?
Yes, we have more questions. And also it goes with what we've been talking about, that Ivan is asking. Yeah, it's all going very, very good. What do you think about if I must postulate me to just when I haven't have all the requirements? Like if you don't have the requirements for a job, should I postulate or not?
What do you guys think? Ems, what do you think from a recruiter's perspective, and then from that?
Yeah, okay, so from a recruiter's perspective, on a job posting, you will see a huge list of technologies. You need to be able to understand which of those a lot of technologies are the main technologies for that position. And they usually are the ones at top. So be aware of those. And if you do have those, then you're pretty good to go. And if you do not have those, but you have similar experiences, for example, you've worked at the front end with React, but this one's an Angular position, but you've been familiar with Angular and you want to keep working, like you want to learn more about Angular, I would definitely like encourage you to apply, but do know that each company has very different standards of what they want to hire and what they don't. So you do like it is a chance at the end of the day, because they could be very open to just people that want that have a front end experience. They don't need someone specifically from one technology. But then there are also other companies that are very like, I need people who have been working with React for 5 years, and that's their sharp, like a sharp requirement, a very hard requirement. So it really depends. I'm sorry to be the one saying that it depends, but it does depend on each.
I think the biggest advice there, before going to Danny's answer, is if you do have those doubts, go and talk with the recruiter. Like you can
Yeah.
message any tech recruiter. We do have the best ones. No, I'm kidding. But you can message any tech recruiter from any company, and they will 100% give you an answer. If the, because that's their job, right? And they want to give you every information as possible, and they will say what Emily is saying. If the company is like a hard no with no one other than React, so they will maybe even give you other options they already have for like that kind of position that you're more suitable. So what do you think, Danny?
Yeah. Just before, I'm sorry, sorry. I just wanted to say that you should just go for it. There's you have nothing to lose, really. Like getting a no is not the end of the world. So if that position wasn't a fit, that was it. Just the position wasn't a fit for you. It doesn't mean that you need to like mold yourself to the position. It just means that you need to try another position that it's a better fit for you. So yeah, just that. Sorry, go Danny.
Don't worry, I'm reading Fabricio there, and I do think that's a good point. It depends on the position that you're looking, right? Because maybe juniors. Well, first, Emily, I agree with what you said. There are some in the rule of the job description. There are some requirements that you have to have, right? And most of the times are the two or the three first bullet points that you're going to read. So look at those, and the rest, it's fine. Just go for it, right?
Yeah.
I think and then go for it, and don't be like afraid of a no. It's, I think, one of the best advices for all these processes. Actually, that you have to know that you're going to get a lot of no's. That's the way of getting your job. So it's not like you're trying to hit the first job and that's the one that you're going to get. Just try, and while you're going through the processes, you're going to understand what are the ones that have better fit for you and which ones no. And then if there's juniors, if the case is a junior position, maybe you can apply, because that's a role where you are trying to learn with other people and the requirements are not that strong, right? So it depends, but go for it. The least thing or the worst thing that is going to happen is a no, and that's fine.
And you already have the no, right? Even if you don't apply for it, you already have the no. The only thing that you can get is a yes. I always try to think my life in that sense. I already have the no. If I go, it can be a yes. I think
sorry, you can have like a million no's, but you need that just one yes. So just keep trying and try to find the job that you find most suitable for you, for your experience. And also try to keep in mind, what do you want for your professional experience that we've been talking about. And for that, you have to try. And for that, you have to also, how we've been saying, maybe a million no's, but you need that yes to try new things.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more questions and we can wrap it up.
I just wanted to say something. There is something that when you say, okay, yeah, go for the nose, and I do understand. I've had them myself, right? That it's a hard thing. Your first no or your second no, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how good I feel about this. And that's where you have to develop the skills of resilience and keep going, right? And understand that it's not that like you have to find the match. There's an organization for you that is looking for you, and you're looking for that organization, right? And that place is where your career path is. So just keep trying. And we know the no's are hard. It's harder than sometimes just saying, no, it's fine. But you can go through them. It's part of the journey of employability. Just develop those skills of resilience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on that because it's easy say than done, but it's still it can be done. What about
And
you?
just like following that up, do you take our advice, like, I don't know how to say, but with caution? Because we're not saying just apply to everything that you see. No,
Yeah,
right?
of course
We
not.
do
You have to
need
be
to
effective.
be having strategy, which is also an employability skill, to have a strategy for job searching, right? Know
Exactly.
what you want, know what you have, what you want to offer, and then obviously try to look for positions that will value what you have and that matches what you want, right? And then if you do have this strategic approach to job searching and you do get a no, it will obviously be a hard pill to swallow, but it will teach you. Maybe what you did, maybe like you were able to have an interview, but you were super nervous. So then the next time that you have an interview, you'll be like, oh, okay, I kind of know how interviews go now. I know I get super nervous. I'm gonna prep beforehand, So obviously try. There will be a couple no's in the way, but there will be also a couple few yeses, and those are gonna be wins that we are all going to celebrate. But yeah, like don't be afraid and just yeah.
No,
It
yeah,
is like employability is like a hard path, but it is interesting and like a learning
no,
experience.
and
So
I,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
was
love that
about
you
to say,
mention it. I love that you mentioned it because I think. Oh, so sorry. That was the street noise, really loud, and I'm in Lima, so it's like that. So sorry. But yeah, and so job searching is actually a full-time job. So you
It
do
is.
have to be smart about it, and like Emily was saying, you have to have an strategy, an employability strategy, and after that, it's not gonna be that stressing the whole process. The process is stressful already, but if you
Yeah.
are like just applying nonstop to everything without looking, it's gonna be so much worse for your mental health, like not for your career but for your mental health, and that can impact on your interviewing skills and all of that. So yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out, Emily. That was on point.
yeah, and also it's good to have it as to take it as a learning experience, rather than focusing on I want to get uh, this job. Like also the path onto getting to finding that job, it's a learning experience that it's really valuable. And on that note, Jonathan has a question here. Um, it says, I have a question. Which profile is more likely to be hired? A senior with bad English level or a semi-senior with a good level of English?
That depends. Emily, you can take a dive into this one.
Yeah, again, it depends. If, for example, the position it is a senior position for a U.S. company and the whole team speaks in English on a daily basis, and you have bad English, you like not only you will have a hard time to do your own job. So I just wouldn't recommend that. Um, because you won't be able to communicate with the rest of the team, even though it's a senior position. Like the rest of the team will have a hard time communicating with you and collaborating. So yeah, but if it is, for example, a senior position, but it is a very solo, like independent work. The most of the team is does not have English as their main language of
First language.
communication. Then I would say it's not that bad. Like you could get hired being a senior with bad English because what that position requires is not high proficiency of English. So it really depends on the position. If it does require high proficiency, then a semi-senior with a good level of English who is capable of learning and reaching a senior level quickly, then that one will be most likely higher than the one that has the hard skills but cannot communicate with the rest of the team. So yeah.
Yeah, each position has their like in TECLA, but and in general in all international positions, you do need some level of English, right? But it depends on the companies which level they are looking for. So yeah, it will totally depend. And Jonathan, you are more than welcome to message Emily if you are doubting for like one specific position that you are looking for. And do we have more questions, Euge, or maybe we can wrap it up with some?
We have no more questions, so it's time for the final conclusions. So, do you have any advice for fellow Latin American professionals? Are your last thoughts on how to improve your chances of getting hired this year, based on what we've been talking about, and also this new environment and the adaptability that talent must have? What do you think it's the to wrap it up to?
Don't fight, please. Don't fight. You can.
Well, I love this phrase of like take it as a learning experience, because I do think that that's the best approach that you can take on it, right? Sometimes you just have to experience it and understand not only as a learning experience as, okay, this is a no, this is a yes, but what did I do well? What didn't I do well? What do I need next? And also understand that this is your career. Also, it's your opportunity to create something new, right? I always say that a job, it's not only a job, it's part of your life. You spend a lot of hours doing what you do. So understand what you want to do, what type of organizations you want to be in, what skills are you interested in, what types of environments you want to work with, right? And do those reflections and take it as a learning every time. The retrospective thing, it's not only for agile culture, it's for always keep learning on whatever process you have, and also keep track of the process. Have data, right? Like, okay, I applied to this ones, this happened, so you can reflect better and keep becoming a better well, having more skills of employability, which are those also. And yeah, understand what skills you have to keep learning. Understand that employability is not only when you're searching for a job, but being always employable. Even inside the organization, you always have to keep learning. So look out for all the things that are happening, not only in your organization, but in the macro environment, right? That would be
Love
my.
that. No, love that. Love that, Danny. Thank you so much. Emily, final thoughts.
Yeah, no, very in line with what Danny was saying. It is a learning experience. Not only do you need to learn from your personal experience during the hiring process, but also like once you are in the position, right? One thing about employability is that it is a constant learning. You need to keep learning not only the hard skills, but also the soft skills. And when you're looking for a job, most of them will list all of the hard skills that you need. So you need to keep in mind what am I going to bring additional to all the hard skills that these people are asking, right? And those are the soft skills that you have. So also nurture those, right? Talk to a lot of people. Most of the teams are international, so be able to learn about other people's culture, be respectful about them, have the communication skills, have the empathy, know how to manage your own stress. And so it is a whole holistic thing, and I would love to keep chatting about it because it's such an interesting topic. And like, just a final thing is just that you need to, when you're looking for a job, you need to be aware that you are kind of like prepping yourself and making yourself better for the market, but also the market has the responsibility to create these environments for very talented people. So for example, all of us are ladies, all of us are women, and the market needs to also change and adapt to have a more inclusive environment, make it more really like, I think
Diverse.
it's very cliche. Yeah, like it's very cliche to be like, oh yeah, women do not have like enough opportunities, blah blah blah, and they usually blame like ladies not being involved or not being interested. But it is also the environment that the industry is like, right? So maybe yeah, a lot of girls will study, they will like rock it, but then once they find a job, the environment at the workplace is not the best, and they'll be like, oh, you know what? No, technology was not for me, and that is very discouraging. So for all our male viewers and female viewers, we both need to make it better for ourselves to be employable, but also create an environment that other people will want to join you, right? So always
I
be
love
conscious of
that.
that. Yeah.
No, that's amazing, Emily. And I think that's like a whole new one
Yeah.
round of talking. Yeah, because
Yeah.
what we were saying
CSM part
before,
2.
yeah, what we were saying before going live, it's like we didn't plan to do it, but the four of us were women, and that was amazing because it's and all in tech. So yeah, I think we do have one more question, and I don't want to be mean with Jeremy. Yeah, he's being like a really loyal viewer. So yeah, this one is directly for Danny. So how can a project manager be without experience, just having experience as a programmer and having led small teams in college? So he actually, I'm assuming, wants to keep a career in project manager, and he has actually hear you about you, Danny, and your experience. What advice can you give him?
Well, for project management or product management, whichever, there are skill sets a little bit different from just like
Other.
coding, right? So it depends on the experience that you have. But I do think like if you've had like lead small teams in college and you've gone for a together for an objective or constructed something, maybe you have more skills for project management that you think. So maybe reflect on that experience and think about what was your role in leading that team and which things. Also leading, I think it's that you learn by doing, like everything, but you start to learn how you lead, what you need to enhance in your leadership style, right? What you didn't do well and need to do better the next time. So I would start with that, just like a reflection of how was that experience, how you think your role was there, if you were actually leading it, what it worked for you, what you learned that it didn't work for you, and then understand what are the skills for project management or for product management. There are a lot of material in that we could actually
Hold on the
sense
internet.
to understand which skills you need and which ones you think that you already have, maybe, and the ones that you want to have and start practicing. That would be, I think, my advice for having that change. But don't be afraid of changing. Like I've changed a lot from what I've done, and I think that it's also just taking the step, right, and be in that position and start learning your skills by doing it, right, understanding that you have a team with you and you have an organization that you can learn from also.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny, for that last answer. Thank you, Jeremy, also for that last question. And I think we can, with that, wrap it up. Thank you so much, Euge. And I think my final advice, and then Euge can wrap it up, is don't be afraid to go and talk with the hiring managers and the recruiters that are in LinkedIn. I think that's the best advice somebody gave me, and I did it, and that's the best. So you do have LinkedIn, and if you're one invite away from maybe your next job, your next position, so do it and start keep doing that. Your networking, even if you already have a job, it's you're keeping employable, and you maybe you don't want a new job, or you want new projects, you want to be a mentor, anything, everything is possible right now. As Emily was saying, we are now in a global market. So thank you so much, Emily, and thank you so much, Danny, and everyone who's been watching. Up to
Yeah,
you,
thank you
Euge.
and thank you for everyone who commented, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we saw you engaged, so we're very happy about that. And well, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, on LinkedIn and all our social media, and also register at TECLA. And thank you so much again, Emily, Daniela, and Steph. And we will see you all on our next event. Bye.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you. Bye.
you.
Bye.